I never believed time could control my destiny, until the day everything changed. My name is Rohan, and for as long as I can remember, I've been a master of procrastination. Days would slip through my fingers like sand, leaving nothing behind but regrets. My family, my friends, they all tried to warn me. Time is precious, they'd say, but their words were just empty echoes in my mind. That was until the arrival of an old man named Mr. Gupta, a figure of mystery and wisdom, whose presence alone sent ripples of intrigue through our small village. Curiosity got the best of me. Who was this man? Why did the elders speak of him with such reverence? I had heard tales of his ability to change lives with nothing but words, but surely that was an exaggeration. And yet, something inside me whispered that I needed to meet him. Maybe it was desperation. Maybe it was fate. So one evening, as the sun cast long shadows over the dirt paths of our village, I found myself walking toward the massive banyan tree where he sat, his aged eyes studying the world with an understanding I couldn't grasp. Taking a deep breath, I stepped forward. "Sir, I've been told you possess great wisdom. Can you help me?" My voice sounded uncertain, even to my own ears. Mr. Gupta slowly turned his gaze toward me, his expression unreadable. Without a word, he reached into his bag and pulled out an hourglass. The golden frame gleamed in the dim light, the fine grains of sand inside slipping one by one through the narrow passage. "This," he finally spoke, "is your life." His words sent an eerie shiver down my spine. I hesitated before reaching out and taking the hourglass from his hands. It felt heavier than it looked, as if it carried the weight of time itself. The soft trickle of sand was hypnotic. Mr. Gupta's voice, calm yet firm, cut through the silence. "Each grain of sand that falls is a moment lost forever. Time does not wait for you, Rohan. Every second wasted is an opportunity you'll never get back." His gaze locked onto mine, and for the first time, I felt the suffocating reality of my own choices pressing down on me. A deep unease settled in my chest. I thought back to all the days I had wasted, all the dreams I had abandoned simply because I told myself there was always tomorrow. What if there wasn't? The question gnawed at me, sending a sharp pang of fear through my heart. My voice came out weaker than I intended. But how do I change? How do I make up for the time I've already lost? My fingers tightened around the hourglass as if holding onto it could somehow keep my remaining time from slipping away. Mr. Gupta's lips curled into a knowing smile. "You cannot reclaim the past," he said, "but you can shape the future. It starts with discipline, with purpose." His words carried an undeniable weight, each syllable carving itself into my mind. He leaned forward, his eyes piercing into mine. "Set goals, prioritize. Each moment must have meaning, or else you will find yourself at the end of your life wondering where it all went." The way he spoke, it was as if he had seen this happen before, as if he had known people who had wasted everything. For the first time in my life, a sense of urgency gripped me. What if I woke up one day, old and filled with regrets? What if my life ended before I ever truly lived it? The thought made my blood run cold. I had always believed there was time, endless, infinite time, but the truth was staring me in the face, slipping grain by grain through my fingers. My heart pounded in my chest as the realization sank in. I want to change," I whispered. My voice was barely audible, but I meant every word. Mr. Gupta nodded, satisfied. "Then start now." He gestured toward the hourglass, still resting in my hands. "Make each moment count, because one day that last grain of sand will fall, and when it does, will you be ready?" His words haunted me long after I left the banyan tree. That night, sleep didn't come easily. My mind raced with thoughts of all the time I had wasted, all the opportunities I had let slip through my fingers. I vowed to make a change, and for the first time, I felt a fire ignite inside me. The next morning, I woke up with a purpose. I grabbed a notebook and scribbled down my goals. They weren't grand, but they were a start. Tasks I had been putting off for weeks, months, maybe even years. The old Rohan would have sighed and tossed the notebook aside, but not today. Today, I pushed myself. I eliminated distractions, focused on my work, and for once, I refused to let time control me. As the days passed, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Pride, a sense of accomplishment that was entirely new to me. But change wasn't easy. Some days I wanted to fall back into my old habits. The pull of laziness, the whisper of "just do it tomorrow," it was always there, lurking in the corners of my mind. But then I would remember the hourglass. I would picture that last grain of sand slipping away, and I would push through. Mr. Gupta's words became my mantra. Time waits for no one. And so I kept going, step by step, day by day, determined to rewrite my story before it was too late. Weeks turned into months, and I noticed the change within me. My days no longer slipped away into meaningless nothingness. Each morning I woke with a plan, a purpose. The villagers began to notice, whispering about how I had transformed from the laziest man in the village to someone unrecognizable. But deep inside, I knew I was still fighting a battle. The temptations were there, the urge to procrastinate, the old habits clawing at me. Some nights I lay awake, wondering if this newfound discipline was temporary. Was I truly changing, or was I simply delaying my inevitable failure? One evening, as I sat by my window staring at the night sky, a sudden realization struck me. This wasn't about perfection. It was about consistency. I had spent too long fearing failure, but what mattered was moving forward, no matter how slowly. Mr. Gupta had taught me that every moment was a decision, and I chose to keep going. I revisited old dreams I had abandoned, skills I once wished to master. I picked up books, learned new things, and for the first time I felt truly alive, as if I had control over my fate. But life has a way of testing you when you least expect it. One day, tragedy struck. Mr. Gupta fell ill, his once strong voice now weak, his wise eyes clouded with exhaustion. The man who had changed my life now lay helpless, time slipping from his grasp. I sat by his side, holding his frail hands, feeling an unbearable weight in my chest. "Time is running out," he whispered, his breath shaky. I clenched my fists. This couldn't be happening. Not to him. Not now. The thought of losing him sent a sharp pain through me, colder than fear. I wanted to believe he would recover. That time would grant him mercy. But deep down, I knew the truth. Death waits for no one. And as I sat there, I saw the final lesson unfold before me, the greatest truth he had been teaching me all along. Time wasn't just about chasing goals or avoiding procrastination. It was about cherishing every moment. The simple ones, the ones we take for granted. A conversation, a laugh, a shared meal. The fleeting seconds that seem insignificant until they're gone forever. And I realized I had to make these moments count. The next few days were difficult. I spent every possible moment with Mr. Gupta, listening to his fading words, absorbing every last bit of wisdom he had left to give. He told me stories of his youth, of love, of regrets, of the people he had lost. And then one evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, he took one last breath and was gone. The village mourned, but I was shattered. The weight of his absence was unbearable. The world suddenly felt slower, quieter. For the first time, I truly understood the cruel finality of time. Days passed, and the grief settled deep in my chest, but I refused to let it break me. Mr. Gupta had given me a gift, not just his wisdom, but the understanding of what it meant to truly live. I stood before the village, sharing his lessons, urging others to value the time they had left, and something incredible happened. People listened, they began to change. Children played with their parents more. Workers took breaks to watch the sunset. Dreams long abandoned were picked up again, and in those moments I saw the ripple effect of one man's wisdom. Years passed, and I became known as someone different. No longer the lazy boy who wasted his days, but a man who understood the value of time. My journey wasn't about becoming perfect. It was about making the most of every second I had left. I built a life filled with purpose, with passion, with moments I would never regret. And as I grew older, I made sure to pass on what Mr. Gupta had given me. I told my story to the young, just as he once did, hoping that they too would learn before it was too late. One evening, as I sat under the same banyan tree where I had first met Mr. Gupta, I watched the children of the village playing nearby. Their laughter filled the air, pure and untouched by the worries of time. I pulled out the hourglass he had given me all those years ago. The sand still trickled down, slowly, steadily. My fingers traced its golden frame, and a smile tugged at my lips. I had spent so much of my life fearing time, but now I saw it differently. It wasn't my enemy. It was my greatest teacher. I closed my eyes and let the memories wash over me, the struggles, the lessons, the transformation. Time had shaped me, but I had also shaped it. Every second I had chosen to use wisely had built the life I was proud of today. The hourglass was no longer a reminder of wasted moments, but of the moments I had embraced. I understood now. Time itself was not valuable. It was what we did with it that gave it meaning. And as I sat beneath that tree, the same one where my journey had begun, I felt at peace. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of gold and crimson, I took a deep breath and smiled. My story wasn't just mine anymore. It had become a lesson for others, a legacy that would outlive me. Time had once been my greatest fear, but now it was my greatest gift. And as the last grains of sand in my hourglass slowly trickled downward, I knew I had lived a life worth remembering. And that, above all else, was what truly mattered.